If you get the last 3 strikes, then you get more balls.
Oh yeah, if you get a spare, you get 1 more shot.
Yeah, well, like if you get 3 strikes at the last 7 turns, then you get like
Oh, he's got the flick of the wrist. Tonight we're at a party. Right, essentially they get to play video games, they eat their pizza, they're dancing.
But it's making friends, that's the big thing.
Right.
Their big thing is, and the mentors, their job is to help them facilitate that, because if I just had a room of, it's Friday night, come on in here, and they all were just sitting here, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
And so that's the beauty. I was a special education teacher for 20 years. My youngest was diagnosed with autism, and so he's 18. So this was 13 years ago, and what they said is your son has Asperger's, and I'd never heard the word. And here I'm a special ed teacher, and they're saying your son has Asperger's, and I'm what is that?
Right.
And so, it was bad. I mean, it was really hard. No one knew much about it, and the information I could find was scarce. Any place I could find that did services, I was driving almost an hour out for services. Insurance didn't pay for anything. I was taking loans out for the therapy for him. So what I did, what ended up happening was this. I went back to school and got another master's degree in autism so that I could understand what he was going through and so I could advocate for him. I just kept thinking I could just keep going through this and we're gonna be in the same spot and I'm gonna have to do something. So what I ended up doing is I quit my job, and I had a beautiful home in Livonia, a home that we built this home. We lived there for 22 years, and I sold the home. With that money, I was able to open up the Living Learning Center. I knew nothing about business. I was a teacher, so I said I'm going to do this. I opened the doors. I became an LLC, and then after about 3 years, I thought, if I'm ever going to really do independent living, I've got to become a nonprofit to get corporate sponsors and things like that to make this move forward. So about a year ago, we became a nonprofit. I thought if I open up the center, the first thing we're going to do is do, a Friday night where they have somewhere to go.
It's normal.
Yeah. And make it normal for them and safe for them.
Right.
So we have people that come here every weekend from Allen Park, from Grosse Pointe, from Taylor, from Troy, from South Lyon, because we've got music therapy and art therapy, but we've got programs that no one else has. Like tonight, no one has this anymore. There are 25 people here, and then maybe 10 of them are mentors.
Right.
I have no issues, right? Neurotypical is the word. And I just kept looking at them thinking, they need someone else to be modeling what's appropriate behavior, right?
Right.
Not just kids in these rooms that have special needs.
We work all together to do that goal of being a mentor, because by myself I could never do it. And having like Gage and Gavin and all my other mentor friends here, I think that all together we're able to achieve the goal.
At first for me, it blew me away how much I thought it would be, because at first I was just like, oh, so you're gonna mentor the children with autism and young adults, but it wasn't really like that. It was more of just everyone fit in, everyone blended together, and you couldn't really tell separation. It was more of just like a big family, and it grows on you.
It took me from having no knowledge to now understanding it, because there was always just, I thought, a bit of a stigma around special needs, and it was just kind of, people saw it as like somebody that you can't connect with, even though as I've come here more and more, I see that the clients are remembering me, I'm remembering them, and I can actually make real connections with anyone.
I would probably spend most nights going out with my friends or something, or not really doing anything that was probably worthwhile, and then I found this place and I realized that there was nowhere I'd rather be on a Friday or Saturday night.
It really does change your life though, because I swear every time I come here I learn something new about a disability, and which a lot of people aren't really familiar about, or at least that's what I assume, but like she said, you can't leave this place without smiling.
Yeah.
We've got clients and we've got programs for people that need a lot of support, and what that means is maybe someone that's nonverbal, they can't talk. I even have people that come here with staff, they can't be alone at all. And that's this end of the spectrum.
Right.
to all the way over here, and you probably saw a lot of them here tonight, where like the one gentleman was saying, I got a job.
Yeah.
That's pretty high functioning.
Right.
Okay, so the spectrum is so, vast. And the other thing is, even the ones that are right here, all of them are so different.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would say that's a pretty true characteristic though that goes through is the anxiety piece. I would say almost all of them have anxiety, and it manifests differently. It looks differently in all of them, but almost all of them have anxiety.
I just feel like the world is not always sensitive to that. They kind of use that and they kind of like make them feel bad about it. Like, oh, they bash them, they shame them, they say words like retarded and stuff like that, which is very not acceptable and stuff like that. And so I just feel like, oh, this would be a good place for them to like build their confidence and stuff like that, because it's me speaking from a personal experience. Like, like you can get comfortable here. Like, everybody's nice here. There's no enemies. There's no, egos and stuff. So it's pretty cool. This is unlike high school. So I'll say that.
I think before I walked through the doors of Living and Learning, I had one idea of what autism was, which was just someone who has special needs, that just has certain needs that they need help with. And then after constantly coming to Living and Learning, I see them less as a label of they have autism and more of like, this is a person, this is their name. They do have autism, that meaning that they have certain struggles, but they also have really positive things about them. Like, they're able to do this, they are able to get jobs, like they're pretty much break the stigma around people who have autism can only do this and can never do any of these other things. Like, they're successful, like they find passions, they do sports, they're like any other human being in the world, except they just need more help in certain aspects of life, which I think we all do, honestly.
As a special ed teacher, I was always in the back of the building, and I wanted to be in the heart of the city. Like, I wanted the community to, I knew it would be good for the community. Like, at first it might be a little bit uncomfortable. I knew after a while they'd get used to it, and it would, maybe not even this generation, but the next generation, it's not gonna be anything.
Right. It isn't just living and learning. It's essentially living. Right?
Exactly.
It's just
and having
living.
a meaningful life, not just, like the employment part, like the microbusinesses. It's not just to have microbusinesses. It's so that I never wanted to have a laundromat and say, here, my special needs people can work here.
Right.
I want them to have meaningful lives.
The more that I think about it, actually, you essentially described how the name was created.
Yeah.
You're helping these kids live and have a life.
Wanted, once they learned to get out and practice it, like at Starbucks, and practice it at Great Harvest, so it generalized.
Right.
Because in that autism mind, they'll do it where they learn it, and then that's the only place they'll do it. So it's useless.
Right. It's only functional there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For us, it was always the social piece, and then the employment. 90% of these adults are unemployed. 90%. So then it was employment, and we've been doing a great job on that. And now we've taken a step further. Where our old location was, or is, we're opening it up and turning it into an artisan market, and so that they can have job skills and employment there. And I was speaking at this group, and typically what happens is someone will come up to me afterwards and say, I have this son and he's in his 20s, and basically, how do I get him in? And my heart was breaking for him. He said, my son goes to Schoolcraft, and he recently just asked me if someone could die from loneliness.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know. And so I said, listen, I want to meet him. I know.
We can help.
Yeah, I know it. But see, the older, he's in his 20s, and the parents have gone through so much and so much therapy, and I knew that they were a little gun shy too, but I knew as soon as I got him in, I'd be able to, I knew he'd love it. And so he started coming here, and I watched him walk out the door with his dad, and I heard him say to his dad, I never knew a place like this could ever exist.
My name is Jay. I am 15, soon to be 16, and my favorite thing about this place is definitely the people. Some of the coolest and nicest people I've met here.
There's a lot of people you can talk to, and really, they all make you feel welcome here. However, I was nervous the first time coming here, but I shouldn't have been because they're all really nice and friendly.
Like coming here and seeing my friends that I've known for 2-3 years already. Even in like real life, I'm not really a social person, but this it kind of helps me. Like I'm able to be more social with people. It's a lot easier. Yeah, I've made a lot of friends here. It's pretty cool.